Here we are, and welcome to a very special moment in the Friday Night Movie Baltimore Comic-Con experience. We have with us Sean, you're hiding your last name, Van Gorn.
Sean Gorman of comics.
Sean Van Gorman, and Joey Esposito.
That's me.
Who are collaborators, writer, artist of The Pedestrian, which
right here
is so cool. We have the visual aid here today. We also have the comic with Magma Comics. And oh wow, that's a great. That is such a cool cover.
Based on a toy commercial that we made for toys that do not exist,
So
based on an
cool.
animated show that also doesn't exist yet.
This is
that is so
all of
cool.
this is my
Reverse
kind of
engineering.
thing.
You're reverse
Exactly.
engineering.
Yes.
So I want to start there. This is obviously outside of any of the existing universes. This
Sure.
is your own IP, your own original creation. I don't know how easy it is to work on other people's stuff versus your stuff, but I imagine it is in the world where everybody wants a sequel or a remake or something that already exists, going out and creating something new and bringing something new to the table, which you're doing very much so here.
Mm-hmm.
That's a
Absolutely.
huge challenge. How do you get there? You guys just brilliant? You came up with the idea and you're
I
like,
wish.
great, we're original? Or did you workshop that?
I mean, it's a little of both. I mean, Joey and I have worked in comics for a little over 10 years now, on different licensed properties for IDW. Joey does a lot of work for DC. He's written for Batman, Superman, Harley Quinn.
Oh, wow,
he's
cool.
currently
Okay.
working on a licensed book for Sesame Street right now.
Mm-hmm.
I've done a lot of work for Star Trek, doing covers and whatnot. So there is a difference between things, visiting people's sandboxes and playing with things that people own versus something you can create, and you can kind of make it different, make it what you want. If you're working on Batman or Superman, there's a wheel to it. There's a beginning and an end, and you have to put the toys back as you found them, more or less. But with ours, we can smash those toys. And when I initially came up with this concept for a fella who was a superhero, didn't necessarily have powers, but he could maybe walk extremely well. Maybe inspired by the blinking "Don't Walk" sign we see on traffic signs. And call him the Pedestrian, and he just kind of walks around and just helps people in the night, not necessarily, breaking the law to help people. He's not beating up people, but say maybe you're trying to parallel park in that tight spot. How many times has someone saved your life without necessarily beating up a bunch of people?
That's fair. And you know what? And there's so many things someone could do when you're parallel parking. They could prevent you from opening your door and dooring some poor bicyclist.
I once did
Absolutely.
that to someone. I'm just saying.
See,
I
if
really,
the pedestrian had been there.
Are you confessing?
No, she was
I
fine.
confessed to
but
some
she
stuff
was,
in an earlier episode.
She was fine, but
I want to be caught.
She cursed at me. I'm just saying, she's fine. I know she was fine because she was cursing like a sailor.
Well, anyone
My
who
God.
who says, I only need 2 wheels. Everyone's on 4 wheels. I'm going to do 2, and they're fighting the world.
That's the risk they
I love that. Okay, The Pedestrian. Tell us a little bit more about the character, the motivation, where the origin, or is that spoilers?
No, I mean it's a character. It's a design and a name I had come up with, and remembered working with Joey on a book called Pawn Shop a number of years ago, and remembered how great Joey is at writing rich, deep characters. I needed help filling out this world, and that's when I tapped Joey and I showed him what I had, and Joey kind of jumped right in, and it became a very collaborative process of it was this height of the pandemic. We kind of came at this with no ego, with the only goal of let's make the best comic book we can possibly make.
Yeah, we'd spent a long time kind of putting projects together that we thought publishers might be interested in, and the pandemic happened, and we were talking about this book, and we were like, let's just do exactly what we want to do, even if it's weird and like people aren't going to know how to sell it. And that was The Pedestrian, and it worked out. And I think that just goes to show that like you got to just do what you think is interesting and cool, and hopefully it works out.
I think if you try to game the algorithm, you're screwed.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Like it's not going to work. Especially like if you're chasing a certain trend, by the time your project is ready, that trend's gone anyway. So this book I like to call it, superheroes meets Twin Peaks. and it's a lot. It's a lot
awesome.
about the people who live in this town that's kind of on a downslide, and the pedestrian is the thing that's bringing them all together. So they're all from different walks of life. And the first issue is basically just these characters interacting with the pedestrian in a different way. And the pedestrian doesn't speak. He has no lines. We don't really know anything about him. And part of the mystery of this first arc is, like, what's his deal?
Okay.
And
Love
that's not necessarily a question that it's sort of like, who killed Laura Palmer, and that it's like not really what the show's about, but it's kind of the hook that brings everybody in.
This seems, although you mentioned Twin Peaks, it seems this actually comes from a real point of optimism. Like the
Sure.
character seems like a good
Yeah.
guy, and you're talking about human connection and bringing together.
Yeah, for sure.
There's this, I think, default that people think that dark and sad means critically good, and by the way, sometimes it's amazing. I mean,
Yeah.
right? Like we're talking about The Boys, or I mean, there's tons of things that are dark and grim or gruesome, but it seems like you're not really going in that direction. Is that because you guys are naturally optimistic folks?
I think there's maybe a hint of that, maybe more on Joey's side, but we live in the world. We're both people, but there's also things can be better. Things can be better, and how do we do that? What can we can't fly around, we can't save the world. A lot of the conversation initially was, we're both big fans of Superman. So what's the thing that, you take away all the powers, what is Superman? He's just a guy trying to do the right thing, never possible. And we thought it'd be cool, like, if just someone is just kind of maybe just going out of his way a little bit to help someone out in little increments, not huge things. He's not stopping burning trains. He's doing little gestures along the way and making connections with people that, I don't know if this is true, but maybe good deeds could be cumulative.
And oh, go ahead.
At the very least, I mean, that's a lesson I would want. I mean, I try to teach my kids,
Yeah.
Right.
and it's like they don't have to save the world. They just have to be kind. They just have to do the right thing.
You don't have to save the world, but you can make it just like
You can make it a little better.
just a little bit better.
And I do think it adds up.
Also, who needs another Thanos level threat? Right?
True.
That becomes
Sure.
such a burden for storytelling. It's good to have a story with where the stakes are local, I guess is the way to describe
Well,
it.
maybe.
They start that way.
Start
Let's
that
say
way,
Well,
yeah.
look, he
Say
can
that.
build towards something
but I think
apocalyptic.
it's a great foundation.
Are the stakes low, or have they never been higher?
Ah.
I mean, there's things perhaps we can't perceive in this world, especially. Where do street signs come from? Why do we stop at a stop sign? Because we're trained to stop at a stop sign, or maybe there's something ancient and old ingrained in all of us. Maybe these are totems that have been lost to human knowledge that are kind of seeping back into the consciousness that we don't really pay attention. Sometimes people don't even follow the crossing sign, but they're there.
He does. He follows the
Good.
He does.
signage. The pedestrian follows the signage.
Perhaps the pedestrian is also ancient. We don't know.
I see that there's like a foundation here for what is going to grow and build into a really rich story and a really rich world. And that's
Absolutely.
exciting.
So, I mean, beneath the surface of this quirky slice of life story, there's an ancient war brewing linked to this secret history of street signs. So maybe he's not the only one.
This is awesome.
There's the alpha and there's the omega. There's the good. There's the evil. There's the other. Another crew, perhaps the inverse of the pedestrian, who are maybe celebrate the flashing red hand sign.
I saw a little bit of that in the book. I didn't want to
Yep,
give it away.
yep.
That's cool. So we love movies and TV.
Sure.
Mhm.
I don't know if you all think this way, but do
I
you
own a
think-
TV.
Do you think one day
You do?
about
Yeah.
the pedestrian being on the screen, a screen?
I don't personally like. Yes, it would be rad, and the paycheck that comes with that probably
Sure.
would be rad. But comics is the medium that I love and adore, and I think like what we've made really only works as a comic. And I would love to see someone try. I'm not. I
Who
don't-
would you cast as the pedestrian if you were making a movie?
It's a great question.
Ooh.
I haven't thought about it. Have you?
'Cause they got to be able to act with no words.
Yeah, it's like
Who's a good face actor?
I feel maybe someone who's very good at pantomime, maybe not necessarily like an on-screen voice. We are also living in the golden age of superhero media where you cast a big name and they're not even in the suit. So we can pay the guy
Yeah,
for a
that-
couple of episodes and then someone else running around in the suit.
I mean,
Brendan Fraser's Robot Man. He's not even on set.
Oh yeah. Good for him though. By the way, right? Like, you know,
yeah.
I'd
love
because you
Brendan
know what?
Fraser.
I want to see people in the suit. You do have to have a good character under the suit, but you don't need to see their face. I mean, this is except that I know you have a big Mandalorian beef.
I am like, just stop
Sure.
making it if we don't see his face.
Sure.
I'm just like,
I get
I'm
it.
not interested. Very specifically because you've cast Pedro Pascal,
Yes.
and that's it.
I want to see
Again,
Daddy.
I want to see him.
I want to see the baby and I want to see Daddy.
Exactly.
Do you all have things that are favorite things you're watching these days?
Right now, the thing I'm watching the most are old clips of Conan O'Brien shows because I have like a Samsung channel that just shows like clips
Of like the TBS show or
of the
like
TBS show.
Okay, the TBS.
And I really slept on that for a long time. And I want to go on record as saying this, that we've all slept on Andy Richter.
well,
Yeah, he's the best.
I can say we have not. We have a dear friend of this podcast who worked on the show on Conan
Oh,
for
yeah.
I think almost the whole run.
That's cool.
And with Andy Richter and in his podcast. So
Yeah.
shout out to Galit. We love you.
Yeah.
Andy, call me.
Fittingly, I've been rewatching Twin Peaks, but outside of that, we just finished the new Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
This
Which
is really
I
good.
like that. I like that.
I loved it. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
really surprising and just like how character focused it was, and just like really, really funny.
It's a very atypical show. Like you really think you're with the title and the genre.
Yeah,
you're gonna be
it
watching
subverts
one
a lot
thing
of
and then
expectations. Yeah, it's awesome.
it's
Ooh,
nice to be
also
surprised.
catching up on Superman and Lois.
Oh, that's a cool show.
I
I,
think it's a-
like the first season a lot.
Yeah, it's a very strong ensemble piece, which is important for a
Has
Superman
Emmanuel
show.
Shrieky, one of our all-time favorites.
We like Manuel Shrieky.
Yeah, and people, I've heard people dump on the CW shows a lot, but you know, when you have media like the CW shows, Marvel, MCU, these CW shows like 99% of the time cast so strongly and perfectly the right person for the role that we can forgive the failings of like a show's budget or coming through with certain things.
Yeah, I've been recently seeing some stuff about Stephen Amell having to like defend himself. Like,
Yeah.
Stephen Amell doesn't have to defend himself ever. Arrow did one of the best like versions of.
Sure.
I'm going to say this in a not a mean way. It's one of the best Batmans
Yeah.
I've ever seen. The Flash is one of the best Spider-Mans I've ever seen.
I've seen that interview. Yeah, I think he's calling out like a Peacemaker crack, like
which
Peacemaker,
is a show I love also.
which I don't think he was going after, the Arrowverse version of Green Arrow. I think more just going after just the character of Green Arrow. So I think we can. He doesn't need to defend Arrow. I think he might need to defend, Stephen Amell, the man, once in a while. He was very anti-strike during the
I
forgot about
remember
that.
I remember that.
during the writer strike. So I mean, artists are complicated, and we're all human beings. So no one should be put completely on a pedestal. If they do cool work and things that we like, that's awesome. But we can also disagree on things, and that's also okay as well.
But the Arrowverse, I feel like mirrored comics a lot.
Sure.
There are good arcs. There are arcs where you're like, what the hell is happening? And then there are resets here and there.
Yeah.
I think it doesn't get if people are not giving the credits they deserve, they need to look back at what was the most consistently successful DC property during a period where they
Yeah.
kept trying to make these big movies and they kept going. And those shows, just the Legends of Tomorrow, talk about like this, what should have been just the C Squad, and that
Sure.
was on for 4 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also like visiting people in their homes. Like I would have people who are not comics fans. Like, oh, do you like that show, The Flash? I really like that Flash show because Grant Gustin is amazing.
Yeah, he is great. He's a great Flash. And I gotta say, I gotta give a shout out to a small movie he made that my mom recommended. I think it's called Saving Ruby or Ruby. I don't know. It's about he plays like a canine cop and a dog. It's a family movie.
Oh, I'm in.
It is the sweetest family movie. It's pure sweet. It's like something from the 80s, and he's just about a down on his luck canine cop, and he gets this rescue dog, and him and the rescue dog. It's like Turner and Hooch without the funny parts or the sad parts.
I was going to say,
Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert, the dog doesn't die.
It's neither
But
funny
it's based
nor
on a
sad.
true story, and Grant Gustin's
Also,
great
spoiler
in it.
alert for Turner and Hooch for anyone who hasn't seen it.
Yeah. No, I tell my kids about that all the time because I'm always like, because every once in a while Turner and Hooch makes there's like a Turner and Hooch reference, and which, by the way, I think Canine with James Belushi is the superior of the two cop dog movies.
the only one that spawned a franchise.
In that
Actually,
era.
that's not true anymore because there was that Turner and Hooch sequel series on Disney Plus.
That's right.
There was?
Yeah.
Oh, unacceptable.
But Canine has like a bunch of direct-to-video sequels.
Oh, really? No kidding. Well, Canine, I always liked because also the dog lives. Like
Yeah.
in Turner and Hooch, they shoot that dog.
Yeah.
And then you're supposed to be okay with these puppies?
Yeah.
Get the puppies. Hooch is dead.
It's hard. It's a hard pill to
Now
swallow.
I got to raise your kids.
Exactly. He's got 8 puppies. at
These
the
are
end of
terrible cops. They have no business in law enforcement.
it. Do you? Okay, so this is some very thoughtful stuff. Are there things like Turner and Hooch that you feel strongly about from your childhood that you, like for us, the Never-Ending Story is one that comes up on the podcast a lot.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. Power Rangers is a big one.
Okay.
And that also plays a huge role in the Pedestrian. There's a show within the world of the Pedestrian that our kid characters watch called Laser Titans. It's very clearly like a Power Rangers analog, which is actually like a pitch that Sean and I had for a different series years ago that we loved. No one wanted it, but we worked it into the Pedestrian
awesome.
in that
Because
way.
fuck you, that's why comics
Yeah.
industry. We're
Can't
going to
tell
do
us what
this.
to do.
We're not
Yeah.
waiting for permission anymore, which was a big part of it. Because a lot of the comics we see, someone comes up with a pitch and they make 6 pages of it, as much work as you would kind of need to do to prep for the full series, and then you kind of wait until someone gives you the okay or the green light to go ahead and do this.
What constitutes the okay? Is it the company, the money? Like for a movie, right? We're
Sure.
also independent filmmakers,
Sure. Mhm.
which is a weird thing to say,
It's
but I
true,
guess
though.
we are. And it seems that you can make a movie independently if you have the money, but then getting that movie to anyone is a whole other ball
But
game.
making it
Sure.
and sharing it with the world are
Two very different things.
I would say it's like a similar kind of situation.
It's very similar. A lot of times the company will have the money, or they'll say we'll distribute it if you can raise the money, which is where we have Kickstarter and crowdfunding. There's definitely some overlap in these two industries right now, and yeah, a lot of times it's like the perfect world. The publisher has the distribution and the money, and you get the contract. We will give you permission to do this. We'll pay you this much for this work, for the exclusive rights to distribute this work. And then once we make our investment back in you, then you start maybe seeing a little green.
Got it.
Okay.
And do you feel like when you finish an episode, or I'm sorry, when you finish one of these, which
Sure.
is like is this seems like one episode is like making a whole movie. Like
Sure.
one issue is
a lot
like
of work,
the
yeah.
work of making a whole movie.
Crazy.
Do you feel like relief when it gets out there? Are you excited? Oh, people are going to read it, or we're on to the next one?
It's a little of both. On this particular project was it unique because we worked on so much of it ahead of time. We kind of broke it up into like small little chapters. So we kind of looked at it as a series of shorts that eventually would start to connect and blend into each other, and then the focus on one character and their interaction with the pedestrian, and then these stories build on each other, and then the characters start meeting, and then storylines start connecting. So by the time this finally went to print, and it was gotten the green light, we had maybe 2.5 issues of content in the can already. So developing this for 4 to 5 years
Wow.
of this world to finally see what the response would be. And the response has been phenomenal. Stores have been selling out. People have been going to shops to try and find it. They don't have it there. People have been generating their own content of reviews. Shout out to Dan Exclaims. He put out a YouTube short of a quick review, and that got almost like 500,000 views. And
By the way, one of my favorite things to watch are comic book review or recaps of existing comic books.
Yeah.
I find them very relaxing.
Yes.
But also, I don't
Well, now
like
you're gonna
reading
have to
things.
check this
Well, like
guy out.
it's so funny because we've had multiple people just today come, hey, I saw this like on the YouTube thing, and I was like, cool, thanks. Yeah, that's like
Well,
marketing we didn't pay
we're gonna
for.
put this interview on YouTube too, but
Great.
our YouTube channel is not as big as that one.
Well, we're not comparing here,
Yeah.
but we're going on all the podcasts who want to talk to us because we're passionate about this project and we're passionate about getting the word out. So we're casting a wide net as big as we can, and every little bit helps. We're a community here.
That's
If
great.
one person hears about this and wants to go and pick up this book, mission accomplished.
So let's get to that.
Oh, yeah.
And to that one person, thank you.
Where can people get it? And are you doing any Zoop or Kickstarter or any fan crowdfunding for future episodes or anything?
I mean,
like
thankfully
that?
not. We're working with Magma Comics, who are a real publisher. They paid us a nice advance to work on this book. You can find this in stores. You can pre-order this at your local comic shop for issue 4 right now, if this gets out in time. Issues 1 and 2 are in stores now. You can either find them at your local comic shop, or you can order
Wait,
them.
There's 3 though. I just got very anxious.
Yeah.
You said
Where's
pre-order
3
4.
comes out October 16th.
Oh, okay. 3's coming. Okay, good.
Yeah,
on its way.
You
so
don't have like advanced copies here this weekend, do you?
Unfortunately not.
we're waiting on a PDF.
Yeah, we almost got the PDF.
Okay.
We're-
Yeah, okay.
We have some lettering notes that we're going back and forth on.
Okay.
That we're fine tuning. It's
See, the lettering is
It's going
really
to
important.
it's going to print today.
Okay, we'll have to like take it offline. I need someone to explain lettering to me.
Okay,
Yeah.
I could talk your ear off for 3
Yeah.
hours.
Okay. I need to understand.
Well,
the lettering.
Well, the book is The Pedestrian.
If you can't find copies at your local shop, you can order directly through magmacomics.com.
Great. That was the
Great.
other question I was
And it's
gonna
also
ask.
available digitally on Global Comics.
Oh, that's
which
cool.
right now I think we're at like 6,000 views of the first issue.
That's
where you
amazing.
can hop on your computer right now and take a look. You can read
I
the
love-
first 6 pages for free.
I love comics apps. I use them. I buy comics on them all the time because my wife would like me to limit the number of things I bring back into our house.
It's so thin. It's not a big deal.
No, but you got to put it in a bag and a board and respect it.
It's cumulative.
No, you can just throw it in a box. It's fine. That's what I do.
You're going old school with these.
I just throw them in a box in the order that I buy them. Comics are for reading, not for collecting, in my opinion. But I don't want to say that too loud while we're here.
Don't say that around here.
Or just
Causing
turns and
trouble.
stares at you.
Causing trouble.
Well,
Then everyone goes, you're right. Let's get out of here, guys.
we got
Mass exodus. The show shuts down.
Oh no.
The Nathan family are like, what the hell happened here? Joey who?
Excommunicado.
Well, we've got with us Sean Van Gorman, Joey Esposito. The book is The Pedestrian. Magma Comics or your local comic store.
Let's open up to calls. Are we taking a call? We have a call on line 1. Hi, I just want to know if you guys really like The Pedestrian, and you guys doing shit. Thank you so much, man. It's so great to just speak to the fans and stay in school. Okay, thank you. Bye.
It's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks.